Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the John Gaunt podcast. Going to ask you a simple question today. Is Keir Starmer using Prince Andrew as a diversion from Mandelson and his own problems? Got a view? Let me hear it. This is an extra show, so let's see how it goes. Let's discuss this. I believe there should be more focus on Mandelson. I'll tell you reasons for that in this podcast, but I want your opinion too. Get your comments in the comment box and we'll get discussing what the mainstream media is too terrified to actually address. Are you ready? Let me just say this slowly though, so nobody can twist it. I'm not here to defend Prince Andrew. I don't like him. I don't admire him. I don't care about his reputation. I don't respect him. I wouldn't invite him round for Sunday lunch, and I certainly wouldn't let him babysit my kids. But I tell you what I do care about, it's justice. Because the moment that we decide that we don't like someone is enough to throw out innocent until proven guilty, then none of us, you, me, and anyone else listening or watching this podcast are safe. The moment you give that power to politicians, we are literally all, well, I don't suppose I should use this word at the moment, buggered. None of us are safe. Do you get it? I put a tweet out over the weekend. I was basically having a weekend, but I put out this tweet. It's had a massive response. I don't like Prince Andrew. This is what I wrote. But I do believe in innocent until proven guilty. I do. Before 12 good men in true. So why the sudden push to remove him from the line of succession? And who benefits? I'll tell you who benefits. It's Keir bloody Starmer. That's who. Keir Starmer is a Republican. He's a Republican. And it would suit him if we no longer had a king and the whole idea of succession. That's why he's pushing it. And everyone missed this. People start saying, oh, you're supporting a nonce. You're supporting a paedophile. Well, none of those things are proven yet. And the thing he got arrested for was betraying the country, in effect, as a trade envoy. Now, I want that to go to court. I want to find out whether that's true or not. And if it's true, I want us to throw the book at him. But what he's been accused of is exactly the same as Mandelson. But Mandelson wasn't arrested at 8 o'clock in the morning. Mandelson wasn't kept in a police cell all day. You've got to ask the question, why are the 5 police cars to pick him up? He's hardly going to run away, is he? He's one of the most famous blokes in the world. But why the silence on Mandelson? And why is Starmer pushing for this? I can see a discussion around the succession if and when he's found guilty. Now, if I had to decide what I think is going to happen, I think he probably will get found guilty if it ever gets to court. But what's happening at the moment is the worst kind of kangaroo court. I think this is mob rule. And I think a lot of people are being pulled into it by the devious behaviour of Starmer. And now I notice the Australian Prime Minister has jumped in, Albanese. He's written to the King because if you want to change the constitution in terms of the succession, all 15 or 14 of our Commonwealth countries have to agree to it. So the socialist Albanese, the man who put his countrymen in danger with what happened at Bondi Beach, he has set the wet liberal rag that he is. He's come out saying, oh, we'd support that. Why? Well, just have a quick look. Google him. He's a Republican. He doesn't want the monarchy anymore. Well, I'm nailing my colours to the mast. I'm a monarchist. I think it's the best way to run this country. I don't think we want to get into a situation where we've got a President Blair or President Starmer. You with me? Can you imagine the kind of people who would want to be president of the country? It would be a bloody nightmare. If you agree with me, put your comments in the box. If you disagree with me, tell me as well. But it's been the mob this weekend, the absolutely mobbed. Because suddenly we're told he must be removed from the line of succession. He's 14th. He's never going to be the king anyway. It's an irrelevance, in my opinion. But none of this should happen, even the debate about it, until after a trial. If you believe in 12 good men and true, which I do, which, let's face it, we've got a government who want to remove jury trials. We've got a government who sent you to prison for hurty words. We've got a government that want less scrutiny. We've got a government that are mired in scandal, 15 U-turns. And at the moment, Starmer's in even more trouble with Mandelson. Who appointed Mandelson against the advice of the spooks? Keir Starmer. It would suit him. Or maybe I'm going a bit too far. It would suit him if we no longer had a constitutional monarch. Do you see where I'm coming from? And what we've had is the mainstream, lamestream media pile in as well. So let me ask you, the most dangerous question in Britain today. Why now? Why this sudden moral panic? Why this coordinated fury by the media? Why this demand for instant punishment without process? And more importantly, who benefits from this? Well, I'll tell you something. Whilst the cameras are locked on a disgraced prince, nobody's talking about the politics behind it. Nobody's talking about the motive. Nobody's talking about the elites. Many, if not all of them, named in the Epstein files. That's what they're diverting you away from. They don't want you to talk about that. They want to make it look as if we've got a corrupt prince, we'll sort him out, and then everything can move on. Trebles all round. Mandelson can come back into the government. No, no, no. Let's talk about Keir Starmer, a man who has made no secret in his political career of his Republican instinct. A man who doesn't believe in the monarchy as an institution at all. Don't believe me? Google him and look at his history. The man who's taken His Majesty off all the livery when it comes to the royal family. It's no longer His Majesty's government, is it? So forgive me if I'm just a little bit suspicious when a senior royal, he's an arsehole, we all know that, suddenly becomes public enemy number one, and the solution just, it's a coincidence. That's going to weaken the monarchy. And while all this is going on, something else is happening. Silence. Absolute silence around Peter Mandelson and how Mandelson was selected against the will of the secret services and most of the Labour Party to be the ambassador for Washington. Why did that happen? Why haven't we had an inquiry into that? Why aren't we saying that he can never be in public service again? Why aren't we questioning the Prime Minister's role in this? It stinks. There's silence around Labour's power structure. Who actually makes the decision? There's silence around these rumours that Mandelson was actually controlling the government. Mandelson was deciding who should be cabinet ministers. Mandelson had as much power as he had when Blair was in. That's some of the rumours. So there's silence around the people who actually pull the strings. So I ask you, is Prince Andrew really the problem? Well, remember, I would never, ever want him to babysit for my kids. I'm not saying he's guilty of anything. I wouldn't trust him with a fiver. I think the guy's an arrogant buffoon, but he needs to go through the judicial system. And what you need to do is not get distracted and diverted. Because at the moment, Andrew Mountbatten, whatever his name is the perfect distraction. Do you agree with me? Because every time you get angry about a prince, you're not really asking the real questions about where the power really lies. And I would suggest not just the power, but perhaps the corruption as well. Got a view? Get involved now. Come on, this is a good debate. We are still doing another show at 6 o'clock. I'm going to be delving into Reform's ideas today for how they want to basically reform immigration. It looks on the surface at last somebody's speaking my language, Zia Yusuf. But we'll talk about that in the next show, which will be out live about 6 o'clock later today. But for now, your comments, please. Now your comments. Well, let's start over with people who say I'm wrong. Amanda Hudson, 2038 on YouTube says, Wood Shaw, me too. He is a danger to society and strainer to Britain. Well, Prince Andrew. Then she says, nothing wrong with a republic. President would suit me, or ejected queen would be fine by me. You mean an elected queen? So you want to go to that, do you? I think you're wrong. Name me 3 people in public life who you think would do a better job than King Charles or Prince William is going to do. Come on, Amanda. I'm not having a go at you. I'm asking you a question, because the people who will want to do this job will be the self-serving pigs who infest Parliament at the moment in the lower chamber. You won't get anybody different. And why doesn't the constitutional monarchy work? Why do you not think it works? Do you not like King? Oh, and then Amanda's had another go. She's really monopolising at the moment. Get rid of monarchy. They do nothing and they cost millions. No, so you're just ignorant. I got it, you know. They've done nothing to help us. I can't read the rest of it because it's just rude words. I don't know what you're trying to say. What about Nick Brown? Why did he get ejected from the Labour Party pretty damn quick? Well, that's a different question, isn't it, Mike? But it's a question that needs answering. I'm with you as well. Anybody else want to comment? Let's go to Leanne Teal. John, I agree with most of what you say, but the whole royalty thing is an absolute joke. They will do anything to survive, including, here we go, side with Islam. Where are they siding with Islam? You mean because Charles also talks about Islam being one of the greatest religions? It's true. It's not siding with Islamists, though, is he? But I don't want to get distracted into that Muslim argument. It's so boring and tedious. And no doubt we'll talk about that later in the day when we talk about the flip-flop warriors arriving at Dover. Focus in on what I'm trying to get at. I think I had thousands of people respond to my tweet, and it was pretty even. A lot of people agreeing with me, a lot of other people not agreeing with me, saying that he's as guilty as sin. Well, see, the problem is the moment you start saying somebody's guilty without there being a trial and fair justice, you open the floodgates, because next it could be you. It already has been. Of course, it already has been. Look at the riots after what happened in Southport. Did they get a fair trial? No. Starmer basically came in, Billy Big Boots, and said he was going to come down hard on them. Well, ever since after he was called a wanker by the local people in Southport. Then he told us the riots were organised. He told us people were being bussed in and trained in from all over the country. All completely wrong. If you give the power of the judiciary to politicians, it's a dangerous step. Now, if people are saying after all this, we need to have a referendum, even on the monarchy itself, or certainly talk about the succession, fair enough. I'm up for that. But you've got to look at what's the agenda of the people who are pushing for it now. I would humbly suggest to you it's to take away another central tenet of what our country is. Take away another part of our culture, our tradition, our customs, our very way of life. Weaken us. Make us more of a regional area than an actual country who needs secure borders. Are you with me or against me? Alison Wilkes says, of course it's a distraction. Don't get diverted, people. Thank you for your comment, Alison, on Facebook. Henry Ives says, Starmer and his friends are Republicans at heart. Not just at heart, they're declared Republicans. That's why they all use deflection techniques when the heat is on them. Mandelson needs the heat on him from both the establishment and the MSM, the mainstream media. Well, yes, Henry, thank you for your comments on YouTube. And this is what I'm saying too. I can't believe that the mainstream media, ever since they got that photo that's behind me at the moment, which is a brilliant photo, by the way, a brilliant photo. Ever since that's come out, though, they are acting as if Andrew is guilty. Now, there's a lot to investigate, of course, and he's got a lot of questions to answer. But making out now, by bringing up the succession question, Starmer is planting the idea in your head that he's corrupt. He's then planting the idea in your head that the whole monarchy is corrupt and unnecessary. Why? Because he doesn't want one. Why do you think Albanese, or Ebenezer, whatever his name is, in Australia, the failed Prime Minister, the man who let the Islamists into Sydney, who allowed 350,000 of them to march over Sydney Harbour Bridge, that man who had nothing to say after the killings, apart from wringing his hands and doing the usual bullshit of, oh, let's sing Kumbaya and not look back in anger, as weak as our politicians, not just Labour, by the way, Conservatives as well. It's time to get angry with the enemy within, Islamists, not Muslims. Listen to what I'm saying. But our leaders don't think that. They think everything's cozy. And Albanese absolutely, in Australia, personified that stupid liberal, oh, let's light a candle, let's all sing Kumbaya bullshit, which is wrecking Western civilization. And I'm a monarchist in the sense of I don't think there's anything better, but I don't want it destroyed just because it's Starmer's latest technique to wreck our country. Can you not see what this man is up to? Meanwhile, he's mired in his own scandals. Who appointed Mandelson? Once you answer that question, you know why there's no attention on Mandelson. Who? You've seen that picture of Emily Maitlis from Newsnight, the woman who actually interviewed Andrew, and it was a good interview, and she stitched him up. But have you seen the pictures of her with Mandelson? They're all together. They're all part of this cozy club. And they don't want you to break it up. This is the John Gaunt Show, every day from 6 o'clock till sort of 7ish. If you want to join in, feel free. If you want to look after my show, feel free to go to JonGauntTV on YouTube. When a little pop-up comes up saying, do you want to subscribe? Please say yes. Doesn't cost anything. It just means you will always get notified when we're going live. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. I'm not sure it's working on Twitter at the moment, but we're on Facebook as well, and we're on YouTube. And if you like what I'm talking about, or it challenges you, and you'd like to contribute some money, feel free. Just press the $sign and donate whatever you can afford, or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. I'm sorry I didn't do an extra show yesterday. I just decided I was a bit, is it burnt out? Is that the term? I just needed a weekend off. But I'm back now, and there'll be a second show later talking all about reform and Zia Youssef's ideas of how to stop the flip-flop warriors, the invasion. Have you noticed, by the way, just on, by the way, this is already the lamestream liberal media saying, oh, it's disgusting. He's using words like invasion. Also, did you see the BAFTAs last night? When the guy who that film's about Tourette syndrome, when he's used the N-word, he shouted it out. He can't help it. He's got an illness. He's got a disability. People are up in arms about it. What about him? Oh, what about an insult to all the black people? Well, most black people are sensible and realise, because they might know somebody who's got Tourette's as well. I can't believe that it's actually become a story. I literally cannot believe it. People are more upset about him using that word than how do we discover, which is what the film's about, how we can move forward and stop prejudice against people with Tourette's. The word he used was horrible, but he couldn't help it. He couldn't help it. Whereas the stinking, filthy hypocrites of Hollywood and everything they represent, they could help it. Moves us conveniently back to our menu. John, Alan, all three of them are liars. Which three are you talking about? Mandelson? Prince Andrew? Are you talking about somebody else? Who's the third one? Thatcher's former aide, Niall Gardner, says Starmer is running the worst, most dangerous government Britain's ever seen. 4 years of Labour, it will be the end of Britain as we know it, John. Well, I agree with you, Tony. And that's why I'm saying people this weekend who've been caught up in this mob rule, this witch hunt of Andrew is guilty, end of. Well, he may well be. See, and then they can't cope with the fact that I'm saying, wait, don't have the succession argument now. Don't fall into the trap that the elite want you to fall into. Keep an open mind. I'm not saying that because I believe he's innocent. I don't know. I'm saying it's because they are trying to wreck the monarchy. It was almost predictable. I laughed out loud just before I started doing this broadcast. About 40 minutes before, the BBC breathlessly reported Albanese is supporting the king and the government. Well, what else would you expect him to say? He's been trying to get Australia to be totally independent for years. Different argument. I'm not even going to go there as an argument with the Aussies. Do whatever the hell they like. But if you can't see that he's part of this cozy club, and this is the whole point with the Epstein files, they don't recognise national borders. It's not about one country being better than another country or one country's democracy. It's about the elite, the people with the power who don't want you to be able to get anywhere near it. Do you understand? And therefore, I couldn't believe it when I saw people all jumping on this Andrew's a nonce bandwagon. Because also, it's so thick because I know what his defence will be now. I can't have a fair trial. The British public think I'm guilty. Where are you going to get a jury from? We've got independent minds. That would be my advice to him, to go down that line. I tell you what, I do want him investigated. I want Mandelson investigated. And as I've said to you many, many times before, if either of them are guilty, or any of these other famous people whose names are being mentioned now, I want them strung up. I want them tried, found guilty, and strung up. I'm not a liberal on this. Paedophilia turns my stomach. And let me just tell you the other thing as well, and see whether you agree with this. The establishment, especially against Starmer, who refused, had to be dragged kicking and screaming to have a public inquiry into the industrial mass rape of white English girls by largely Pakistani Muslim rapists. He's probably, that's another diversion. Oof, we don't have to talk about that this week because we've got some white perverts. I don't care what bloody colour these people are. I don't care what class they come from. I don't care what job or position they hold. If they've been abusing children, either now or in the past, I want them brought to justice. But because of this witch hunt, which is what it is, there's no other way of describing it, against Andrew, again, let me stress, I'm not supporting him, but I'm saying by going down this route, it will mean he won't get a fair trial. So therefore, he probably won't stand trial. Don't give them an excuse. And by the same token, keep the pressure. Why has the industrial rape of those girls disappeared off the agenda again? It's all off the agenda. They're controlling you. And I can't believe, and I've seen some of my regular listeners join in on this bandwagon. And I thought, why would you be so stupid to do that? Jackie Ward. Hi, Jackie. There's no way I'd want a president It's bad enough now how power goes to the heads of those in government. Exactly, Jackie. I believe the royal family are good for the country, but I don't agree that Andrew should have lost his prince title. He should lose the duke title, as that was given to him, but he was born a prince, and I don't think it's up to King Charles to remove it. Saying all of this, Andrew is looking as guilty as he could be until he has been found guilty in court. The succession debate is out, and then we lose you. So I don't know. Finish it off if you want, Jackie, and come back to me. I don't care about whether he's had his titles. You see, some people are saying, because Charles took the titles off him, therefore we can have the succession debate. Well, you don't understand the English Constitution. No, we can't. And all 15 countries in the Commonwealth would have to agree. Well, they probably would, especially with the propaganda. Starmer in the background is stirring this pot. And please, will somebody talk about Mandelson? Why won't people talk about him? So convenient to have a ducking stool of Prince Andrew, a royal, isn't it? Don't get me wrong, I can't bear either of them. Leon Teal 7251 on YouTube says, you have a point, John, but end of the day, if Andrew had kept his nose clean, he'd still have all the privileges. End of. Well, you're again assuming he's guilty. Leanne, you don't know if he's guilty. You do not know that. So what you have to do is let justice take its course. Not get involved in the witch hunt. They're trying to undermine. It's like when they go, oh, Brexit hasn't worked. And then they get somebody on like Farage and it hasn't worked. And he goes, yeah, you're right, it hasn't. Because we haven't had the Brexit that we voted for. We had 3.5 years of people piss-arsing around. Theresa May, Boris Johnson. It's like, oh, Boris Johnson, well, he let in 3 million. He did. I condemn him for it. This idea that you have to think binary, you know, I'm right of centre, but it doesn't mean I agree with everything that, say, a conservative thinker would think. I'm certainly not. And I certainly don't believe everything that the Reform say. I think they're the best option we've got at the moment without a shadow of a doubt. We'll talk about that later. But if you've got a view, let's hear it. See, and this is very binary. David, I'm not having a go here. David Edwards says, vote restore Britain. Well, that isn't the answer on its own, is it, David? But thank you for your comments. Do you see what I'm trying to say? We've got to get out of our tribal bunkers. We've got to save our country. Our very democracy is under threat. If you like what I'm talking about and you'd like to donate, even if a couple of quid, please do. Just click the $sign and send whatever you can while the show is live. If you want to listen again, it is there in the archive. Your best place to find it, JonGauntTV on YouTube. And if you'd like to donate a $5 upwards, please go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Don't forget, I'm doing another show later. That's going to be a humdinger. We're going to talk about what Zia Yusuf has been saying today about how to control our borders. Linda Agostini says there's obviously more to it than we think. Well, obviously, yes. And there's more to come out. And that is why I don't like the way people are being whipped up by Starmer. It's probably Mandelson, actually, because the story is coming out now that Mandelson and West Streeting were effectively political, listen to what I'm saying, bedfellows. Now there's talk about Starmer going to sack West Streeting. We've got the worst prime minister ever. Why do you want to save his neck by putting all the focus on Andrew? He's a nobody. He's a nothing. If he has been involved in paedophilia, then I want the book thrown at him. But I want it done in such a way that he can't wiggle out of it. Like over the weekend, people were saying, well, he wouldn't have paid £12 million if he was innocent. Just stop and think about what you're saying. It's a bit simplistic, that. And it's not when people say, oh, they haven't sued, they must be guilty. No, because the moment you sue, you make the whole event more public. So there's lots of reasons why people don't sue. One of them is cost. Anyway, let's move on. Steve MOT, afternoon, John. Hope you had a good weekend. Yeah, had a brilliant weekend. Coventry City won. We were fabulous. The rugby was, well, let's not talk about the rugby. Well done to the Irish. Completely outplayed us. but I had a great afternoon in the pub. You know when you have a lost afternoon? I went to the booze with my mate Phil and Pat and Mick, the guy who owns the pub, was there. And we just stood, we were sinking the Guinness. Well, they were sinking more than me. But I had a couple and I enjoyed myself. I really enjoyed myself. You know, when you just have conversations, you're half watching the rugby, because let's face it, once we started getting thrashed, there wasn't any point in watching it. But then we just talked like only mates could. I mean, Phil I used to see a hell of a lot. I haven't seen him recently. Haven't seen Pat for ages. And Mick I haven't seen for 2 or 3 years in fact, since we last went to Cheltenham Festival, I think it was. But we just all slotted in. And then before you know it, it's sort of 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I think, oh, blimey, I better get home. I've got to cook the tea. But, the unexpected pint is always the best pint. I wasn't expecting to go out. I was watching the football on the telly. Phil phoned me up and said, do you fancy coming to watch the rugby? We're going to this pub. This pub is brilliant, by the way. I might mention the name of it later, but it's not my usual pub, but it is a proper pub. You know when pubs used to have separate little rooms? One of them, where the big breweries haven't turned it over and knocked it all through. But it was a lost afternoon. Don't you love lost afternoons? I do. Tell me about it. If and when he's found guilty, do you think he'll be sent to prison like anyone else would in the general public if found guilty? Cheers, Steve. I don't know. It's too early to tell, Steve. I tell you one thing I do worry about, and I'll say it on the record. That picture of him, he looks dreadful. And some of the attacks on him, especially here on YouTube and on social media, have been completely out of order, really. And what if he did top himself? Because it must be hard to cope with. I've got no sympathy with him. Again, I'm just saying he does deserve a fair trial. A lot of people don't like me saying this, but there we are. Exactly 100%, says Jimmy Abrahams. John Gaunt. Exactly 100%, John Gaunt. Starmer is using cloak and dagger tactics to cover his own people. Thank God. At last, somebody has got what I'm trying to say here. Thank you very much indeed. Daily Express is not a Daily Express. Well, it's Daily Express and also GB News talking about this. Tony Whitworth says, Zach Perkis details. What? Oh, yeah. In the Daily Express, a journalist called Zach Perkis, he's found details that have come to discover that Keir Starmer's name's on a document discussing drafting and agreeing to paedophile ASBOs. Yeah, I saw the story when he broke last night. So is Andy going to get an ASBO? No, Tony, you're going a bit far here. He was the director of public prosecutions at the time, so his signature would be on every single letter and every file. Wait a minute, I'm not excusing Starmer, but it does smell, doesn't it? It does smell, but it's a story that we need to come back to later. Thank you very much indeed for bringing it up. At least it's almost on the agenda. Yeah, no one's donated. I'm going to stop in a minute because I've got to get ready for the next broadcast, which is going to be a humdinger, let me tell you, talking about whether Zia Youssef is thinking what you're thinking. Certainly thinking what I'm thinking. It's a witch hunt, says Roddy Hurst. Forget about Mandelson, grooming gangs, the Chagos Islands. Have a go at the Royals and divert away from the main problems that Starmer doesn't want to deal with. Ronnie Hurst, go to the front of the class. You're giving out the pencils at the next broadcast because that's spot on. Starmer must be thanking heaven that this story is going to come on. He's got this story. And if he can force the king to make an address, that was the thing. The king must address the nation. Why? The king hasn't been involved in any of these allegations, has he? It's his wayward brother they're accusing. Let the trial happen. There is no need for the succession debate. Not only that, he's 8th in line. He's never going to become the king. I read some twat on Twitter going, oh, but what if a terrible accident happened? Yeah, all right. What if? Juliana Ives, what I don't understand, John, is Andrew the only one? All those girls and Andrew's being hung out to dry. Where are the others? Though that's a very good point. Why has there not been any more arrests? How come How come in America they've not started arresting people? There's been all these names bandied about. They want to divert. I actually think on Epstein Island there was something horrendous going on. And I think it's going to be even more horrendous than we can even imagine at this stage. But let's find out. But let's not be diverted into it's the royals. How many of these news programs? Oh, it's the biggest constitutional crisis since 18 something something or 14 something. Give over. Give over. Ken Barlow sued Corrie, lost and ended up bankrupt. Yeah, it's a slightly different subject, but yeah, I understand what you mean. So where's Mandy's arrest? Or is it another two-tier thing again, says Maggie. Maggie, thank you for making that comment. That's exactly what I'm saying. Again, I don't know whether Mandelson's guilty of selling trade secrets or giving our trade secrets away, just like I don't know if Andrew is. And remember, at the moment, it is a bit like Al Capone. Al Capone did not get done for murdering people and extortion and all that. He got done for tax evasion, right? So in a sense, at the moment, everyone's going on about it's Andrew and it's about being a nonce or not being a nonce and all the rest of that thing that's all flying about. It's not what he's been arrested for. He was arrested for miscarriage in public office. Same thing that Mandelson's been accused of. But Mandelson's not been arrested. And he's been conveniently forgotten about. But even more, what about the grooming gangs? Why have they been forgotten? So is it another two-tier thing again, says Maggie Morley? I think it probably is. Right, that's me finished. I enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, it's only a quick one. So, it wasn't about defending a man. It wasn't about defending a prince. It's about defending a principle. Because once we accept punishment without trial for someone we hate or someone we despise, it becomes punishment without trial for someone else that they hate. You see how it's a slippery slope? And we often talk about, is Starmer becoming a dictator? Well, this would only help, wouldn't it? So ask you this before you switch off. If Prince Andrew can be erased so easily by public pressure alone, who's next? And who actually decides? Who's pulling the strings on this story? Next time, we'll go even deeper into Republican politics and about the way they want to destroy our very way of life. This is the cultural Marxists as well. Again, this is the woke brigade. These are the people who are involved in the trans lobby. These are the people who want to legalize drugs. These are the people who think all property is theft. These are the people who want to skateboard on Tower Bridge with Stop Oil protesters. These are the people who think democracy doesn't matter to them. These are the people who think they're holier than thou. These are the uber liberals. These are the people who infest every high office in the land, not just in the Commons, in the Lords, but in the police, in higher education, in schools. But don't let them think for you. Don't let them point while they move the money and the power somewhere else and the next story comes along. Let's talk more about this. I'm sure we will at 6 with the next live show. If you want to join in, then do. We're going to be talking about Reform UK and whether they've got the right idea on controlling illegal immigration. Join me at 6. It's another live show. Jackie Ward's just given me 3 red hearts. Thank you, Jackie. You are a superstar. If you want to contribute after the show, if you're watching this later in the day or another day, don't forget you can always donate just by going to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. You can also send a donation here on the YouTube channel. Just press the $sign, whether we're live or not. But please, the most important thing you can do for me is subscribe to JonGauntTV on YouTube. It's completely free. Then you'll never miss a show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Speak to you later. I'm back at 6. Don't miss it. It's going to be a cracker. Until then, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.